rising from my heart and filling my mind. Feeling grateful makes me aware of the all-encompassing presence of God, including the divine within me. When I live from my spiritual nature, gratitude becomes the song of my heart. I don't need to wait for a reason to feel grateful. When I live with an attitude of gratitude, I find the good in every situation, the blessing that can come from any adversity, and the presence of God in every aspect of life. Practicing gratitude opens my eyes to the blessings that are present and opens my heart to receive even more. I give thanks for an unlimited world, blissful peace, and perfect wholeness. And on Psalm chapter 95, verse 2, it says, "Let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise." And the word today is gratitude. Thank you.
Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Do you remember? To love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember. Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Do you remember? To love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember. To love, serve, remember to love, serve, remember to love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember. To love, serve and remember.
And good morning again. Welcome to this powerful time of meditation for letting go. If you're watching from home, and I'm not sure if that's ready back there, find somewhere where you will not be disturbed. And if you are in the audience, sit. Okay, it's streaming, okay. Sit in a comfortable position with your feet firmly planted to the ground. And if it feels comfortable to you, I invite you now to gently close your eyes. It is good to let go, surrender, and trust the process. Let's start by taking a deep breath in. Focus on making your belly expand as you breathe in and let the breath go. Feel how it naturally falls away, waiting for the next breath to come in and letting the breath go. When you breathe in, expand your belly and lungs. And as you breathe out, you are simply letting go. Now let your breath return to a natural rhythm. Trust that your body automatically breathes for you. Now, imagine some things that you are holding on to. And whatever comes to mind, see it clearly in front of you in your mind's eye. What is it that you're holding on to? One thing may come to mind, or several. Just trust the process of your mind presenting to you what you need to let go of. Take a deep breath in and imagine one thing that you need to let go of and surrender it. Give it away. However your mind sees that you should give this thing away, do so. Say to yourself now, I am ready to let this go. I allow for it to leave my awareness. I let go of attachments. I let go of the obsession of how certain things should turn out. I do not expect things to happen one way or another. I surrender the need to control. I trust the process. Breathe in deeply again, feeling your body expand with air. And when you breathe out, just let the breath go. Now imagine something that you have expected to be a certain way, perhaps a person's behavior or a situation. See how you expect it to be and say to it, I let this go. Let your expectations fall away. They actually do you no good. It feels good to not to expect people to be a certain way. And it feels good to not to expect situations to turn out how you want them to. Living a life of trust. Breathe in deeply once more. And when you breathe out, open your eyes. Namaste.
So today I want to talk to you about the power of will. The power of will and the importance of allowing our will to cooperate with the will of God. Hence the title of the message, The Will of the Wind. And I chose that because I was listening to a song that was just that by that title. And I realized that in the scriptures, the wind represents so many times as a metaphor for the Holy Spirit, that home spirit of God, that power within us that moves and animates us. So I decided I really liked that title, The Will of the Wind, because we're talking about the will of God, how to align our will with the will of God so that our lives can be more prosperous. And each of us have this amazing power of will, each one. You have it, I have it, we just develop it in different degrees. It's the power to help us, it allows us to make choices and make decisions and command and direct and determine the course of our lives. So it's a very important power to really pay attention to, because it helps us in so many ways to walk away from those things that no longer serve us and walk into a life that is intended for us, one that we can co-create with God, with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our actions. For that is one of the principles that we know. We are co-creators with God. And the power of will plays such a significant role. We use it all the time, minute by minute. I did a little research and I found out there was a study published in Psychology Today that adults make about 35,000 choices a day. That's staggering, isn't it? Like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I was so busy making decisions, you know? But we do, and we're not even consciously aware. And a lot of them is those decisions that we are making are also being influenced by things in our subconscious that we haven't yet dealt with. So no wonder we go around saying, I don't even know why I made that choice, because something else is influencing that. So this minute by minute use of our power of will allows us to direct our lives, to make choices and decisions. And we use it to work through problems, the problems that we have in our lives, the challenges. We use it to live in integrity with our values and our beliefs. We use it to keep our commitments. Remember last week we talked about commitments? Well, you need the power of will to match that so that you can keep your commitments. And what we know that we know, and if you haven't learned it, this is the truth. No one can control your power of will. You and you alone have dominion over that. No one else. And so I remember this story. How many used to read the Reader's Digest? And remember those stories they had? I used to love those stories. They were so cool. I used to keep a file of some of them too. I don't know what I did with them. I was flipping through them. But I do remember this one. There was a story that there was a woman who had managed to stop smoking. She said she had been a smoker for many years and was happy that she had strong willpower that helped her to stop. But her husband, on the other hand, had not. So she would day in and day out nag her husband each time that he would light up a cigarette. She was trying to use her willpower to get him to quit. And so she would go around the room, smoke, smoke, smoke. You know, you're just stinking up the whole place. You're stinking up the draperies. You're stinking up, you stink, you know, everything around here. And you're killing your children. You're killing me. You're killing the cat. You're killing the dog. Smoke, smoke, smoke. You're killing yourself. I don't think that guy was really enjoying. And so he was kind of really had his wits' end with her because she would do this every single time. And he could not stand the nagging. And one night, you know, just to be able to cope with, you know, just her nagging, he decided he would pour himself a drink and he would light up a cigarette and he would just sit calmly, you know, before he would watch TV. Well, that threw his wife into a bigger spin. Smoke, smoke, smoke everywhere. And then now you're drinking. What are you doing? What are you doing? And he says, and what's going to come out of all this? I don't know what I'm going to do with you. And he said, well, you know, yes, I am smoking. And yes, I am drinking. And if you don't stop nagging me, pretty soon you and I are both going to have the free choice to start dating again. So, you know, kind of, you know, we are sometimes overzealous with our power of will, and we think that we can change others, and it's not in our control. We each have independent free will that we control. And one of the greatest lessons that we can learn about this power of will is that we cannot use it to affect change in anyone else. We can hold a high watch for them. We can see them in their highest good. We can support them as they try to make changes for their lives, but we cannot do it for them. There's a Zen proverb that says, when the will is ready, the feet are light. And even in the scriptures, in the book of Proverbs, it said, whoever has no rule over their own will or his own spirit is like a city broken down. It's like a city broken down without walls. So it's important to pay attention to this power that we have. It's important to realize that it can direct your life in a direction that you want it to go. And let it bring to your awareness the need that this power needs attention. And what I love about it is that it brings you to the understanding that we each individually need to take responsibility for the decisions and the choices that we are making, those that are impacting our lives. And that's kind of different from when I grew up. You know, I kind of left that to God, you know. God will direct my life. God will make the choices for me. But it is not saying that. We are co-creators with God. So we play a role, a significant role, in directing our lives. And the power of will helps us to do that. How many of you remember the Holocaust survivor who was called Viktor Frankl. Did anybody ever heard of him? Yeah, he lost his entire family. He was moved from one concentration camp to another concentration camp, and he was tortured beyond imagination. And yet he came out of that and became a successful doctor, published many books. And in one of the books, he writes saying this: everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given state of circumstances, cannot be taken away. That is your power to make a choice in how you would face what's showing up in your life. Like we did this morning. We did it this morning. We could have chosen to grumble and complain, and yet we chose something different. We chose to be in presence. We chose to be in joy and in gratitude. And that impacts how we experience life. So the power of will for governing is that executive power. It calls into play all these other powers to support it. And it is the governing force for manifestation. You want something to happen in your life, you go to that executive power of will that helps you direct it and command and make choices and decisions. And if that power of will is not well developed, if you're using it only from your human nature, it will not yield the highest and the greatest good for you. It just won't. A well-developed power of will always be directed by spirit, will always be moving with the will of the wind. It just goes there, doesn't resist, it allows. And if we don't allow that, if we don't develop a will that is in cooperation with the will of the wind, with the will of spirit, then we can cause havoc in our lives, because that will either become underdeveloped or overdeveloped. There's no middle ground there. And you could tell, because the characteristics of someone who has an overdeveloped will it's like they're very stubborn and bossy and domineering and rigid in their behavior. And to live with someone or be with someone like that can cause you to not have a good relationship. It can cause harm in the relationship with your spouse, with your friends, with your children, with your co-workers. Who wants to live with someone who's domineering and stubborn and rigid? That's because your will is overdeveloped. It's overdeveloped. It's too full of want to have control and command. But then on the other hand, you can have a will that is underdeveloped. And the characteristics of that is that you are wishy-washy and indecisive. You can't make decisions. You kind of look into everybody else to help you make a decision. And you allow others to do that for you, even though it's not what you desire. So you get along by going along with whomever. So either one of them will not yield to you that which is intended for your life, your highest and your greatest good. Charles Fillmore said, the idea of giving up our will to God's will should not include the thought of weakening it or causing it to become in any way less. It properly means that the will is being instructed on how to act for the best. That's what it is. You are in cooperation, cooperating with God for the highest and the best experience of your life. So it's not saying that you're weak by allowing Spirit to guide your will. It's the complete opposite. It's training your will to function for the highest and greatest good of you. When I think about Jesus, when in the final hours of his life, he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, which metaphysically that represents the place within our consciousness that struggles when there's truth, when truth is realized, and we struggle with that. And remember, he was being tempted with all kinds of things. He was struggling between the divine self and himself and his consciousness. And he came to the point where he was willing to surrender to the wind, the will of the wind. And he said, not my will, but thy will be done. And he really meant that. He knew what was coming before him, but he knew that he would not be alone. He knew that he would have everything that he needed. He realized that by yielding his will to the will of the wind, to the will of spirit, the will of God, he was cooperating in a bigger plan and a higher manifestation for his life. And he didn't know what it would look like exactly, but he trusted, as we were saying in the daily word, to trust that the whole universe is conspiring on our behalf for our greater good. So our goal is to develop our will so that it will cooperate with the will of God. So when you affirm things like, I will choose relationships that are positive, or I will let peace begin with me, or I will be prosperous, you are cooperating with the will of God. And so you ask yourself, so what it really exactly is the will of God? It's not some big mystery, believe it or not. The will of God is to be God in you. That's all it is. God desires to express itself in his creation. So the will of God is to be God in you. Eric Butterworth, in his book, Celebrate Yourself, said, the will of God is the ceaseless longing of the Creator to fulfill himself in and as that which he has created. This will or creative intention is so great that it even seeps through our own willfully closed mind. It is always wanting to express as you, its beloved creation. Jesus, in the only prayer that he prayed, that we found, the Lord's Prayer, he said, thy will be done. Because he understood that God's will for us was good. It wants to manifest healing of our soul, that emotional body in us, the harmony, and bring harmony into our lives, and bring abundance and peace of mind. All that is good is what God wants to express through you. And the only reason we are not experiencing that in our lives is because we make decisions and choices that are guided by this intellect, by this reasoning mind. And yet even in the scriptures it tells us, do not lean onto your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge me. Because it is not by might or power, it's by spirit that we walk and that we meet and use this power of will to meet our challenges and our problems. And so this idea of the powers working together, in this case, will and understanding partner up. They need to work together. They need to be able to, the will needs to allow understanding to lead the way. So in all ways, we need to seek understanding. We need to pause and pray. And when we're making important decisions, to check in. What is that Spirit is telling me to do? Which way should I go? Give me understanding. Imagine how powerful our lives would be if we would consistently call upon the power of Spirit within us for guidance in making the choices and the decisions we have to make. We would be at peace. We would know that all things are working all together for our good. So to give an example of what happened recently, my friend of over 50 years, she invited me to go to Puerto Rico with her to celebrate her birthday. And I wanted to say yes right away. I wanted to. But there was something inside of me that said, pause, don't do anything just yet. And I knew we were going to have fun. I always have fun with her. And I said, imagine the two of us. Oh, God, this will be a riot. We're no longer 25. We're in our 70s. That should be really interesting. But I was kind of leaning, but something was telling me not to. So I said to her, I think I need to just pray about that, because there's a little hesitation in me. And she knows me. And it was just a hesitation because I know Joe wouldn't say anything. Joe would say, sure, go. He always supports pretty much my honey. He always supports everything I want to do. So I'm kind of really grateful for him. So I didn't understand what was up. Why was I feeling everything was right? Joe would say, yes, I could go financially. I was going to have fun with my friend. Why wouldn't I not go? I had time to do it. I said, I don't know. So I decided to really take time to listen to inner guidance. Why am I hesitant? And a few days later, I called her up and I told her that I didn't feel really settled about traveling to Puerto Rico with her at this time, and that, I wanted to honor whatever is trying to surface, that I wanted to pause from that. And she understood. She said, sure, no problem. I understand. We'll do it another time. We'll do something else. And I love that about her because she didn't try to pressure me or anything. She knows that I would always check with headquarters first. So anyway, a day later, after I told her that, see, there's always a plan unfolding that we're not really sure of. So a day later, I get a call from my daughter in New York who tells us that the two of my children, my two daughters, wanted to plan a special family vacation for us to celebrate us as a family and to celebrate our 51st anniversary. And I got it then. I said, wow, if I had not listened to the inner voice, I had not checked in to get guidance, I would have made the wrong choice. So you see how it's always important when you're making decisions, check in first. Let understanding lead the way for you so you will know how to make the choice. Well, it turns out that my friend did go, met up with another friend, and she was telling me that it wasn't all that she had hoped for. And in fact, that when she got back, she got COVID. So she was sick for several days. So Spirit was really wanting me to go in a different direction. I, on the other hand, had a blast. It was so fun and exhausting, but it was fun. So always check in, always check in. So the power of will is guided by the will of the wind, by the Holy Presence within you, by that power inside of you. So the will of the wind, the God's will, is always going to direct you to your highest and best good. I grew up believing, and maybe some of you were like that I needed to be really afraid of God, be fearful of God. He's love, but he's also consuming fire. He'll strike you down. And so he will try you. Oh, he will bring all kinds of problems into your lives. And he will allow suffering into your life because he wants to test you to find out if you are faithful. And he would even punish you if you're not listening correctly. And so I always try to toe a really straight line, make sure I was safe and the light bulb would come down on me. But I've come to realize that that's not true. That is not true. That is not true. God is pure spirit. God, that which we call God, that force that is the ground of our being, is pure love. It's absolute good. It cannot be anything but that. It's not here to punish you or bring suffering into your life. It just wants to express more of itself in you. It only wants that. And you may not see the good, and sometimes unpleasant situations show up in our lives, right? And we may not see what that good is. But you must know and trust that nothing in this realm, is here to harm you. None of it. None of it. So we need to stop leaning into our own understanding and seek guidance for the things that are showing up in our lives so that we can direct our steps to go and cooperate with the will of God. You and I are spiritual beings. I say it all the time, having a human experience. Boy, we're going to experience everything. And you are immortal and eternal, and eternally you are in the light and protection and love and life of God. Eternally you are in that. Life extends fully in a continuity beyond this current life. Beyond. And we don't fully understand the entire life process. We don't. It's a great mystery. But we only see this this little tiny, part of our lives here. And that's just a small part of the ongoing life. So embrace, as Jesus did, the will of the wind. Let thy God, thy will, thy spirit, let thy will align with my will align with your will. It's not that we're trying to get rid of it. That's really important. We're not trying to get rid of our will. What we're trying to do is to train it so that it would follow the guidance of Spirit. So that and to align ourselves in our thoughts and our words and our deeds with ideas, divine ideas and laws and principles that we know that have been revealed to us. This is how we're going to become that channel of good, so that all the goodness of God, all of God can express through us and pour out into humanity. It's what's missing. It's what's missing. This allowance of God to be God in us and allow that to express through us out into humanity. Catherine Ponders, in her books, The Healing Secrets of Ages, said, "Your will is all important. It is quite necessary for your health, your wealth, and happiness. But that will must know its place. It must be tempered with intuitive understanding. Your will must be taught to follow your intuitive leading, the power of understanding, rather than to fight against what's showing up. It is then that you will truly have the will that wins." Don't you want the will that wins? I know I do. And so, when your mind, this mind is still and alone with the beating of your heart, and you could find that quiet assurance, that knowing, an inner peace at the core of your being. You could find that. And you could face the doubts and the loneliness and the anxiety and accept that your path is divinely unfolding. It may not be the way that you envisioned it. Many times it's not. But it is trying to lead you to your highest good. Trust that your steps are being ordered, that there is a holy presence within you that only wants to express more of itself and is leading you to your highest good. You can befriend the will of the wind, the will of God. And when your mind is still and alone with the beating of your heart, I love that line. I used it because I just loved it when it came to me. You can tap into the truth that God is always with you. One power, one presence in the universe and in our lives. Always, everywhere present where you are. That those that show up in your life are just a necessary part of the unfolding story of your life. They're the ones that are going to be our teachers, the ones that will reflect back to us what we need to see. Nothing but our own fears and our own distrust separates us from accepting what shows up and who shows up. It's the only thing that stands in the way. So trust the will of the wind, yield to it, seek the spiritual guidance that could lead it. And when your mind is still and alone with the beating of your heart, you will know that all is well and really is truly unfolding as it should, even though you may not understand it. You can, remember that song, Blessed Assurance. So I don't remember the words, but there is this blessed assurance, this trust, this knowing that things are unfolding as they should. And you can surrender your will to this higher power that is within you. The will of God is simply to be God in you. And how beautiful our lives would be if we would allow that, if we could just trust the will of the wind. So I leave you with one of my favorite Bible verses. I go to it often when I'm thinking that life is challenging me. I remember this verse from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So, my friends, trust the will of the wind. Allow your will to align with it. Allow your understanding to lead it. And your life will change as you yield. Because all is well. And truly, truly, I say, unfolding as it should. I bless you. I love you. Namaste. As well. And if you want to stand, I can't sit with Eddie's songs. So as it comes up, I'm going to just, because he's
I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy and happiness is yours and is mine. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you say, all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, oh, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit, I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is, my soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know? Don't it feel good just to know that my soul is free from time, and all I've got to do is change my mind. I'm free, y'all. Don't it feel good? All the way and unfolding as it should.
Wonderful, wonderful Eddie Watkins. Boy, I'm looking forward to that one. Well, it's that great time in our service when we give of our gifts, our tithes, and our offerings. And I just want to let you know that everything that we bring here, we bring it because of you. Because of you, it is made possible. And I just hope you remember that we open our doors 7 days a week. Even when we're not here on Sundays, the church is open all the time. It was open last night, and it's just open all the time. And so I want you to know that. And we thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because everything that you give goes out to bless the world. So let us acknowledge our gifts now, the gifts that you are sending. And we want you to know that we appreciate you. You could give online, for those of you that are listening. You could give online. You could send in your offerings if you'd like. You could put it out there, whatever makes you comfortable. Oh, and now we have an app on the phone. That's called Vanco, the Vanco app. So you can even put that on your phone and just give right there. It's so easy. So thank you so much for sending in your checks and your contributions, and for all the gifts and the tithes that make it possible for us to continue to come to you live. Please take your gifts in your hands and affirm your offering blessing with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I send forth this gift with my blessings and my love. Divine love. Father, Mother God, we thank you for this offering. We know it is given in love and received in love, and that it moves through this ministry with the energy of divine love out into the world as good. And each gift is blessed, heaped up, pressed down, and overflowing, for that is the law, and so it is. Thank you, God. Amen. And so we want to thank you for being here today. We hope that you've been uplifted and energized, and that you can go through your week feeling God's love in every place that you go. Will you affirm the prayer of protection with me? The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is divine. Thank you, and I think Rev Luz has a couple of announcements to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Z. So my announcements are quick and short. There's a men's breakfast coming up on the 26th of August. It's going to be at 10 a.m. at the New England Cafe. So men, go get some chow, okay? And then after the service, Lisa, who is one of our board trustees, will be joining me in the lobby. Go ahead and feel free to, come and greet us there and ask questions or whatever else that you would want to do. And so we met as a board this past week, and the board and I have agreed that we're going to bring potluck back. So yay! So potluck Sundays from now on will be at the end of the last Sunday of the month. And at that Sunday, we will also celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and all that good stuff that will come. So come next Sunday, invite a friend. Let's call it friendship potluck, people like to just congregate and just get to know each other really lovely. World Day of Prayer is just days away, September 8th. You do not want to miss World Day of Prayer. We got such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest coming with us. We have a faith leader from the Baha'i community. We have the priest from the Hindu temple. We have the Shalom, the cantor from Shalom, the Unitarian Church, a Native American. It's going to be amazing. So please come and tell everyone that you know it's time to come together in one accord as one to pray for our world and for each other. And finally, Eddie Watkins is going to be in the house. Eddie, you just saw him. It's going to be in concert with us on September 10th. We're going to have it in the cafe, so you're going to have to really, it's all going to be changed. It's going to be wonderful. Now, if you signed up, to go to Eddie's concert, know that that's not your registration. You have to register. You could register online on your own, or you could register today. Both Gary and Z will be in their offices, and Gary in the bookstore and Z in her office, and they will help you with the registration. You can register with cash, check, it doesn't matter. Just register because we're having it in the cafe, I'm limited with the number of people that I can have there. So get your tickets early and tell your friends. Yes?
Women's group is meeting this Saturday here.
Good, the women's group is... Good. Women's group is meeting this Saturday here at 10 o'clock. So if you're a woman, come on out. And finally, I just want to acknowledge our prayer chaplains. Our prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. You can recognize who they are. They're wearing the purple sash. And they will be right outside these doors and willing and able and happy to pray for you. So would you stand with me now and let us say our prayer of protection, and I will meet you in the lobby. Sing our peace song. Sing our peace song. Bear with me. Okay, let's sing our peace song. Okay, here we go.
not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy and happiness is yours and is mine. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you say all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, oh, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit, I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know? Don't it feel good just to know that my soul is free from time, and all I've got to do is change my mind. I'm free, y'all.